Are you in a band and maybe you're about to go on your first tour? Or perhaps you've been in a band for a little while, you're about to go on tour and you want a little recap of things to remember before you head out. Today I'm going to be giving a list of the things that I think is important to remember before you go on tour and whilst you're on the tour itself, so stick around and let's get right into it. This list isn't really in any particular order of importance, but I think the most important thing to remember before you go on tour and whilst you're on the tour is money. When you're on tour, you're going to end up spending quite a lot of money on food and drink just to get you through the week, depending how long you're going on tour for. If it's a week or two, up to a week, anything like that, you're still going to be spending quite a bit of money on food and drink. Also, you might spend money on clothes. There's things like you might run out of t-shirts, underwear, you might lose something on tour and you have to replace it whilst you're on the road. Batteries for any cameras or anything like that, you're going to spend money on that sort of stuff. So it's good to have quite a bit of money ready for that sort of thing whilst you're on the road. One little tip that I thought of is that if you have any loyalty cards with any restaurants or anything like that, here's my Nando's card. If you get any rewards with these cards or for these places that give you any free food or drink, it might be an idea to save them. If you know you're going on tour, save your rewards and you can use them whilst you're on the road because then you can get a free meal potentially. I used this last week when I was on tour with my band to get a free meal. I think in the end I bought the drink, but everything else was free, so I got to have a nice restaurant meal and it cost me like a couple quid for a drink. Or if you want a coffee, maybe collect those McDonald's things where you can put the sticker on and you get a free coffee after like 6 or something like that. Free coffees whilst you're on the road isn't going to be a bad thing and it'll save you quite a bit of money. On the subject of money still, which leads me to my second point, which is to book as much stuff in advance as possible. It might sound really obvious, but if your band is anything like my band, things get left to the last minute, and then the last minute is the worst time to try and arrange a van. Any hotels that you've not got, anything like that, just sort it out. As soon as you know what dates you're going away, book your hotels. If you use websites like booking.com and things like that, then sometimes you can book hotels which don't even take a payment until you get there. So you can just book them and then you don't have to worry about it. It's confirmed, it's all sorted, and you take a payment when you get there, so it gives you loads of time to save up perhaps or get the money that you need. Because once you've booked all your hotels, you know you have a total then of how much it's going to cost to get that money sorted, and you might not have to pay a penny until the actual tour itself. Obviously, the longer that you leave this sort of stuff, the more expensive hotels are going to get. If you're going to get trains or anything like that, trains get really expensive last minute, so I'd book them well in advance, as soon as you know the dates, if possible. Another thing is your transportation. If you're traveling in a van or anything like that, I would just sort that out as quick as possible. I went on tour last week in my band, and on the day of the tour, we had to go to Glasgow, which is about a 3 to 4 hour drive from here. And the van company said that they would have what we need on the day, just turn up and it'll be sorted. We turned up and they had no vans, which really last minute was really stressful, and we had to sort something out, which wasn't ideal. Anyway, it got sorted, but it was a massive pain in the ass. So really last minute, that meant that we had to figure out a new plan to get through the tour, which meant me driving in my car and the other guys going in a 3-seater van rather than all of us going in the same van at the same time, which was a bit of an inconvenience because suddenly then we were dividing our fuel bill from one van to one van and a car. So things kind of doubled, not just with fuel, but with parking as well. Because parking can be an absolute nightmare, especially in cities. If you're playing in city centres and you want to park somewhere, there's no car parks, it's just find a space, it can be expensive. So you can avoid having to double any costs in parking and fuel and anything like that by just all going in the same vehicle. If that's what you want, sort it out as quick as possible, make sure it's confirmed and you've got what you need before you leave. Number 3, it might sound really obvious, but is take spare equipment. Spare strings, spare plectrums, spare drumsticks, spare guitar, spare cables, spare batteries for cameras, anything like that. Just take spares. If you're going away for 4 days to maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks or something like that, but you restrung your guitar right before you went away, there's a good chance that even though your strings are brand new, you might still break one because you're going to be playing it every single night, and it's going to be in different temperatures and different atmospheres and stuff like that, and you're going to be hitting it harder because you're live on stage. You're going to be playing more energetically than you would in your bedroom. So chances are you might break a string, so definitely take spares. If you're a drummer, drumsticks, spare drumsticks, definitely. Drum skins, anything like that. If you have any like wireless stuff with like microphones or in-ears or anything like that, make sure you got spare batteries because you will need them. Spare cables is really important as well. If you're playing your guitar on stage and your guitar just cuts out, more often than not, the thing that's gone wrong first is a cable somewhere. You know, your guitar hasn't just stopped working. Your amp is probably fine. It's more often than not the cable, whether it's just old and a bit knackered or maybe it got a bit damaged in transit, who knows. Have a spare cable, then you can just quickly change it and you're probably going to be back in business in no time. Number 4 is charging phones and batteries and cameras, anything like that. Charging in general. If you have one of those power bricks, which like you can charge in your van, in your car, you can charge multiple things at once, great. But if you don't, then what I'd recommend is as soon as you get into the hotel, as soon as you get to the venue, is get in the habit of just finding the nearest plug socket and plugging your phone in or whatever as soon as you get there. Because if you get to a venue, chances are you've got to load in straight away, then you might have to load in, then sound check. You're going to be pretty busy. You're not really going to be on your phone much. So the time that you spend loading your gear in and sound checking and getting things set up is a pretty good time to put your phone down, let it charge for a little bit. You're going to need the charge, especially if you use your phone for things like sat-nav, which I do in my car. Not only that, when you're not playing, there might be quite a lot of downtime on tour, time spent in the van, traveling, or if you're at a venue and you might just be sat chilling, not really doing much, you're going to be pretty bored. So it's good to have your phone charged up ready for that, just to give you something to do for a little while. Number 5 is cameras and things to film on. It's a really good idea when you're on tour to film a lot of the behind the scenes stuff, maybe setups or maybe some of your live set, so people who didn't make it to the show can see what you sounded like live. So you're going to want to film quite a lot of stuff, and it's important to make sure you've got a lot of space, spare SD cards, because you're probably going to film more than you realise. A lot of it is probably going to be useless as well, just like travelling in the van, filming the road. But you've got to film quite a lot of stuff because you never know when something really funny is going to happen, so you're going to be filming all the time. So you're going to have a lot of footage and you're probably going to run out of space quite quickly on your SD card, so make sure you've got spare ones. Or get one that's got a lot of storage. I was on tour last week and I kept running out of space on my SD card pretty quickly for my GoPro, so I had to keep extracting all my files off the SD card onto my hard drive and then putting that back in. It just saves time if you have more SD cards or a bigger storage capacity SD card. Number 6 is girlfriends / boyfriends / partners, anything like that. If you've got a girlfriend or a partner, definitely you're going to want them at your gig, you're going to want them to watch you and stuff like that, and they're probably going to want to see you as well. But it might not be the best idea to take them on the entire tour. It might sound kind of harsh, but there's a reason for that, which is basically when you're at a show and your girlfriend or partner is there, they're going to want to be with you most of the night, which is fine. But when you're at the show, you want to be giving your attention to everyone else there. That's why you're there. You need to network, you need to speak to people, you want to make sure people are enjoying it, you want to speak to people about your band and get people excited. If your girlfriend or partner is there whilst you're trying to network, it might just be a little bit of a distraction. Also from my own experience, sometimes when you're at gigs, there's fans there that might want to take a picture with you, they might want to speak to you or something like that. If you're stood with your girlfriend the entire night, they're probably going to be a bit put off actually approaching you for that picture, so they might even not end up approaching you at all, and then they'll leave the gig, and then they might message you later on saying, I really wanted to meet you, I really wanted a picture, but you look really busy, so I didn't approach you. Even though you weren't busy at all, you just stood with your girlfriend, and then that's been a little bit of a missed opportunity to network with someone and give them the memory that they wanted. They bought the ticket to come and watch your band, and they didn't leave maybe getting what they wanted, which was a picture or something like that. Another thing also is that if you are networking, you are speaking to people, you are trying to get people interested in your band and you're having a good time, you might be wondering in the back of your mind, is she alright? Is my girlfriend alright? Is she okay? Is she bored? And it's just a little bit of a distracting you from your main goal when you're at these gigs, which is to promote yourself and try and make new fans. So I'm not saying never take your girlfriends and boyfriends and stuff to gigs, but more often than not, we'd rather just focus on the gig, focus on the audience, and try and do what we are there to do. And it's really cool when we've got girlfriends that understand that and they just leave us to it. Number 7 is going to sound pretty obvious again, but it's just take your own gear. Make sure that you've got everything that you need to play your show when you're on tour. Don't be turning up to gigs expecting to borrow things from other bands, because no band is going to really want to lend out their very expensive equipment just in case anything breaks. They don't want that, and it could ruin the tour for other bands. If something that you're playing breaks and it's not yours, it's going to ruin it for the other band and vice versa. So make sure you've got everything that you need for the tour. Quite a lot of the time, bands will communicate before the tour and they'll say, hey, I'm bringing the guitar cabs, so all you need is to bring your guitar heads. Drummers will say, I'll bring the shells, so you just need your breakables and stuff like that. So if you can find out what you need to take before you go on the tour, even better. But if you don't know what you need to take, chances are just take everything that you've got. That way you've got everything that you need for the gig and you don't have to borrow anything from anybody else. Number 8 is just don't be a dick. Don't be that band that think they're better than anybody else. Your band are no better than any other band that's on the bill. If you are a bit like that, if you're a bit arrogant, if you're a bit above yourself, then it's going to translate to the other bands. They're not going to enjoy playing with you. And chances are they might tell their fans that you're a bit above yourself, a bit arrogant, a bit dickish. And you don't want that. You don't want a reputation from that sort of thing. You want a good reputation. You just get on with all the other bands, be friendly, and of all the tours that I've been on, the best ones are where all the bands got on really, really well. You know, if everyone gets on really well, people are going to enjoy playing with you, they're going to want to play with you again in the future, they're going to tell their fans and friends that you're really nice guys. That's the sort of thing you want. You don't want people telling other people that you are arseholes. Also, it's really important if you're on tour, if you're an opening band for a tour, or if you're on the tour itself, is make sure you watch all the other bands play their sets. Quite a few of the opening bands that played on our tour last week, they played their set and then they left. And what happens then is that all the people that went to watch the opening band, they leave as well. So it's not fair on the bands that are on after if half the audience has just left. Again, it's just give and take. You're going to want to grow as a band, and it's just a really good habit to do. Nobody wants to play with a band that just plays and then leaves and doesn't watch anybody else. So watch the other band's sets, they'll watch your sets, their audience will stay there, your audience will stay there, it'll be a better night. Number 9 is rest. You're going to be doing a lot of traveling, a lot of lifting, it's going to be more physical than you realise. If you've never been on tour before, they are exhausting. Doing the same thing every single day, it's exhausting, so you're going to want to rest as much as possible. I struggle to sleep in hotels, so if you get the chance to take a nap or anything like that, take it. Especially if you're driving or if you have a driver for the tour, make sure that they are well rested before they do a long drive, especially if it's at night, because you don't want any accidents. Safety first, so make sure everyone is well rested. And if you do see someone resting, resist the urge to poke fun at them or to wake them up or to draw on them or take pictures or anything like that, because they might really need that rest. As funny as it will be, they might really need to sleep. Leave them to it, because then when you want to sleep, they won't mess with you, and when you do want to sleep, you don't want to get messed with. So it's just a bit of give and take. Respect other people's rest. And last but not least, number 10 is networking. Make sure you chat to as many people as possible at the gigs, especially people who you've never seen before. You're going to have fans of your own at the gigs. Chat to them, make sure that they're happy and make sure that they're having a good time. But obviously you want to grow as a band as well, so it's important to chat to as many new people as you can. Get people interested in your band who might have never heard of you before, you know, whether it's through merch or anything. Just, you know, if you have cards or stickers, anything, give people something to take away from the gig, so that when they leave, they go, oh yeah, this band gave me this, they were pretty good, I'm going to follow them on social media and stuff like that. But other than that, just make sure you chat to people. People might want pictures, they might want you to sign something for them. So if that happens, then definitely do that, because that's why you're there, to network. And from my experience in playing gigs, the people that come and see your band time and time again are usually the people that enjoyed meeting you and having a good conversation, or sometimes even after the gig, if you go out, they'll come out with you as well. And it's a really good opportunity to get to know people, and they can get to know you as well. And that's what people like. You know, your music and playing live is actually a very, very small part of the whole tour itself. So if you just think you're going to go on stage every night, play your music, leave, and then that's going to grow your band, you're actually mistaken. The thing that's going to grow your band more is networking, speaking to people and getting people excited about your band face to face, not just your music. So that's my final tip. So those are my top 10 tips for touring. That is really hard to say. If there's anything you think I've missed in this video, then please comment it below for other people watching this video to read your comment, your tip, and hopefully get a little bit of a community of touring band tips going. That'd be kind of cool. So if you enjoyed the video, then please subscribe, and hopefully I will see you next time.